guys, Arwen here. So today I want to talk to you guys about archetypes. I want to talk to you all about identities, and I want to talk to you about living your purpose. So when so years ago when I was not living my purpose, I felt very disconnected. I felt annoyed. I felt upset because I didn't like what I was doing for a living. I didn't like what I was doing on a daily basis. All these things in my life were all out of balance and out of alignment, and that was like really annoying me because one of my core values is to be in supreme alignment with my essence, with my soul, and to live my purpose. And not living my purpose was driving me crazy at that time. So now that I'm like on the other side of all of that, and I am living my purpose, and I am doing what feels to me is like fun and joyful and happy on a daily basis, it just hit me like a ton of bricks the other day, yesterday, when I was in session with someone. She was wanting to live her purpose, and I connected her up with that energetically. And what I realized is that living your purpose isn't what you do. It looks like what you do, but really it's who you be. So how I learned that and realized that is that for years and years and years, I wanted to have a business. This was like in the past. Like I wanted to do my business. I wanted it to be a certain way. I wanted to be living a certain kind of life. I wanted the freedom to travel. I wanted to do the energy work that I love doing. Like I had all these ideas and dreams that, oh, it needs to look like this and I want to do that and etc. Right? But I wasn't living it. And I was like trying to get it going, and it was like hard to get it going, and it just was like, right? And now I realize all this time, I thought that what I was trying to do was have a business. But now I know that's actually not what I was trying to do. What I was trying to do was be the version of me that already has the business, because the version of me that already has the business and is living the life, etc., is the version of me that is on purpose. It is my core archetypes working together. It is me being aligned with my soul, okay? So now that I am aligned with my soul, now that my archetypes are lined up, now that the actions are very easy for me because I'm being the person, right? I'm being the soul aligned person inside. What that looks like for me is that on the outside, in my outside reality, like the things I wanted for so long are here, and my actions that occurs to me to do I just automatically do them. I just do them. Like I do my purpose almost every single day. And I'm doing my purpose, right? Because I am the person, okay? So I am aligned. I'm sure that I'll always continue to get more and more and more aligned with my soul. But I am very soul aligned at this point. And now I know that living your purpose every day, it looks like it's what you do. But what you do is automatic, and the actions that lead you to your purpose are automatic, and living your soul aligned life is automatic when you are being the core archetype that would be living your purpose. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So in one of the sessions that I did yesterday, the girl who wanted to be more in alignment with her purpose, one of the things she wanted to do is energy work. So we pulled the Merlin archetype in. So the Merlin archetype is, I definitely am, that is one of my major core archetypes for sure. So we kind of like clicked that in and moved that into her field. So what these grids of identities look like to me energetically when I'm working with someone is they literally look like a grid. So this person's grid for the Merlin identity was like a light green color, and I like shifted the grid in her body and kind of like clicked it in, right? So in moving that grid and moving that identity in, it allows it to like mesh with her consciousness, mesh with her subconscious, and go throughout all the layers of the body. So when you are being the version of you that is your core archetype, you easily and naturally do the thing, you easily and naturally say the things, you easily and naturally know what to do. You just get the intuitive downloads as to what you need to do, right? And then it's very easy to live your purpose because you are being that person. So when I started energetically moving with and shifting and changing all these different archetypes, it's amazing to me how much easier things got. So all this time in previous years, I had focused more on the belief level. Sometimes, I was doing my energy work, but also I was doing some belief work where you rearrange your beliefs. And that has a valid place, and that is a good thing. I've noticed though that to get the most change in the smallest amount of time, it's working on these energetic levels am working in these grids of consciousness and changing them around, and then it's very easy to create change, and it's very fast to create change as well. So some of the archetypes that I have deleted in the past, I would say since August of last year, are going to be the servant-slave archetype, and I'm just going to tell you what mine are that I removed from my consciousness. The victim-martyr archetype, let's see, the provider, the caretaker, the people-pleaser, the responsible one. That to me is like a group of archetypes, like they're all kind of like similar. Let's see, I actually removed the healer and the guide and the teacher and the mentor. The chameleon archetype, I recently found that archetype in my consciousness. I was like, oh, look at that. Like, I'm shifting and changing depending on who's in front of me. Why am I doing that? Delete. The failed initiate, the student, the mystic and the priestess, and the, like, kind of like a monk, nun sort of archetype. That archetype is actually married to God. So that archetype will put its spiritual stuff in front of, like, everything else in its life. So that means that family comes behind that, work comes behind that, business, friends, they all come behind that, and what you put first energetically is spiritual stuff, so that means that'll consume your whole life, because that's what I was doing. But I've deleted that now, so that's no longer going on. I did write an epic blog post about that if you want to read that. It's on my website. And I think it's called the Mystic Archetype, is what I titled it. The Abandoned, Wounded, Orphaned Child is a archetype that I have recently extracted from my consciousness. That one was like wreaking havoc on my entire life, because all of the emotional set points, my perceptions of reality, my attitudes, my beliefs, my behaviors, what I thought was possible for me were coming from that archetype and were really self-sabotaging my entire life. So something that I've started to realize is that a lot of things that are holding in place, you're going to the next level. So we all have energetic minimums of what we will accept. We have energetic maximums of what we will accept. Those words are not mine. Those words are Amanda Francis's. But, you know, that are kind of keeping us in this sort of range. And I've been working with the archetypes lately, and in working with them, I'm noticing that I'm suddenly like moving through layers and like whoop, moving to the next layer of something by adjusting my archetypes, because I'm adjusting who I'm being. And because I'm adjusting who I'm being and what I'm operating from, I am by default on a subconscious level changing my belief structures, my thought patterns, my habit patterns, my view of the world, and my perception of what's possible. So one of the things I've noticed most about working with these archetypes is each of them have an idea of what is possible for them, what they're allowed to have, what they have permission to have. And that plays a big role in what you're going to allow in your life and what you're going to allow yourself to receive. Okay, so I remember when I removed the caretaker archetype, automatically, like out of nowhere, I raised my prices just like overnight. And I did that because I was no longer felt like I needed to like take care of people subconsciously. Like I just stopped doing that, and I have no desire to play that archetype out at all, right? So I noticed like a lot of women play that out, and they play it out really heavily. Some people are playing it out really, really heavily. The whole like, I have to sacrifice in order to receive, right? So the caretaker archetype will receive their value through taking care of others. They are made worthy, they are made enough, they are made visible by sacrificing and taking care of others. So what that does is it sets up like this sort of like exchange thing on the subconscious level, where it's like, I can only be seen, heard, valued, whatever, like fill in the blank, as long as I am overgiving, sacrificing, extending myself, and basically being drastically out of alignment. So removing the caretaker archetype, if you have that going on in your subconscious, is going to change things drastically, because suddenly out of nowhere, what you perceive that you can have and that you can receive on a core level is going to change. Your level of receiving will suddenly go like that, because you're like, oh, well, of course I can receive that, because you no longer perceive that you need to sacrifice. You no longer perceive that you have to do certain things in order to quote unquote earn love or earn what you are receiving. And a caretaker archetype will be receiving very, very little. Like if your capacity to receive is like this, you'll be receiving something like this, right? So that'll definitely shift everything dramatically. So the other thing that I want to say about, deleting these archetypes and living your purpose is, it's not just deleting archetypes, but it's consciously choosing and encoding and bringing in the archetypes that you want to use. So even me just doing this video and having this conversation with you, like, I'm a Merlin archetype. A Merlin archetype would be like, oh, let's delete these archetypes and move in these archetypes, because that's what a Merlin archetype does. It feels to me like that archetype is like above. I don't want to say, that kind of sounds bad saying above, but I don't know how else to say it. It is the archetype that can witness and observe all the other archetypes and kind of move them around, because the archetype of the Merlin moves energy first and foremost and knows that everything is energy first and foremost, and all this physical stuff is second. It's all second. And so the Merlin also likes core change and transformation on a deep level. So surface level stuff is not going to work for the Merlin. Like there's not going to have it. So there is that. And then the other thing that I wanted to say, as far as encoding states of identity in the body, I already am like fully embodying the Merlin archetype. The archetype that I've been encoding daily and bringing in energetically daily is the archetype of the Queen, the archetype of the Empress, the archetype of the version of me that is very solid, very grounded, very much in that royal energy, right? So in bringing in that archetype, I can feel that all of my like living on purpose has clicked into place even more and even faster, because that version of me that's fully embodying her Queen energy and her Empress energy automatically has certain habits, certain belief structures, certain things that she does, and all of these things are my purpose, because I'm easily naturally doing them because I've encoded that state and I'm continually encoding that state. So it's very easy for me to take actions now that would have been very hard for me before, okay? So when I started changing my beliefs on that like upper level, it did help me shift and change things. But now that I am working on the identity level at that very deep subconscious level, things are shifting faster and they're much easier. I've re-encoded my emotional states, right? So when I do energy work and I change all the grids of information, you know, my ability of what I feel like I can have, that I can receive, and my container to receive more is massively expanded versus if I'm being like a different archetype. So the archetype that was self-sabotaging me the most was the orphan, abandoned, invisible child archetype. That archetype was really causing me problems. So when I energetically remove the grid of that archetype from my subconscious, everything shifted and changed around, because I stopped perceiving that I was only allowed to receive this much, and it's like the lid went off of everything, and then I could feel like I could receive this much. So now I'm encoding in the Queen, and the Queen feels like she can receive this much. You see what I mean? So changing that state on an identity level is a huge shift in consciousness, and it's crazy because it just it re-encodes all your subconscious stuff all around. Anyways, hi Dan. I want to say hi because I'm not used to doing Facebook Lives and like saying hi to people. But hi, because I've done like hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos. Okay, so there's another thing. The Queen, right? I've decided that my Queen easily does Facebook Live videos. It just is what it is. I've done hundreds of YouTube videos. That's great. But now I need to encode the state of easily and naturally doing Facebook Lives and allowing it to be easy, right? So that's what I'm doing here. But anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to talk to you guys about the archetypes and about how changing these subconscious things can really change your life dramatically. So when you have the right archetypes in place and you're being the version of you that is closest to your soul essence, or whatever archetypes that you really choose and want to embody, it'll be very easy to do your purpose, right? Because you're being the correct archetype that would do that purpose. In my case, it is definitely the archetype of the Merlin, and it's definitely the archetype of the Queen. I feel like I'm also going to bring in the archetype of the wealthy woman as well, but right now I'm still busy encoding the Queen because that's what I choose to encode. So allowing these things to be your dominant archetypes in the forefront of your consciousness changes everything, all right? Okay, I feel like this was the transmission that I really wanted to tell you guys today. Yeah, that feels really good. All right, guys, I'm so excited. Thank you for watching, and hi, Dan. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.